Okay, so this is probably one of the most important videos in this section. And the reason is because when you're tracking macros, it can get overwhelming. You'll notice as you start to enter your food in MyFitnessPal, you're not going to be able to puzzle in those numbers exactly right and hit your calories, and it seems overwhelming, okay? So one of the questions people ask is, what macro is the most important then? Or what should I be shooting for, right? So the thing that's the most important is actually your consistency and your accuracy in your tracking. So if you are hitting your numbers 1 to 2 times a week, but then you're not tracking and it's not really consistent the rest of the week, then you're not doing it right, okay? Your consistency with how often you track and how accurate it is the most important. So that means you are weighing and measure your food properly and you're entering it into MyFitnessPal properly. Because if you're not doing it accurately, you're kind of guessing on like a burrito you ate from Chipotle or things like that, then the rest of this is just not going to matter. Okay, so I know that sounds really boring and lame, but honestly, if you can be consistent with your tracking and learn how to track it accurately, then that will set you up for so much success for the rest of your time as you're trying to get your goals. If you start off by just sort of kind of doing it and eyeballing it, then you're never truly going to know and see your numbers and get the results, and it's just going to be confusing. So first things first, make sure you're consistent and that you are accurate when you're doing it, okay? However, I'm going to go in order of importance here for your macros. So number 1, the most important is that you are close to your calories. If you are worried about your carbs and you're like, okay, I just need to stick with my carbs, and you hit your carb number, but you're super low on your calories, that's not a good thing. So make sure that every day, the number 1 thing that you're looking at is your calories, okay? The rest of the numbers don't matter as much. In fact, if you are just calorie counting and you just eat your, that BMR number that we talked about, and you don't look at any other numbers, you'll be pretty successful. Having said that, tracking macros is that one layer deeper where we're starting to make sure our foods have certain things in them, because I think what happened back in the day with calorie counting and Weight Watchers and things like that is people would say, okay, I have this many calories to eat, I'm just going to go eat a Big Mac and a donut, right? And yes, that will help you to lose weight, but what it won't help you do is build muscle and boost your metabolism. So while people lost the weight, they also gained it back because number 1, it wasn't sustainable, and 2, they weren't building that foundation in their body. So the second most important thing is your protein. Okay, so if you just track your calories and your protein, then the rest will fall in line. There's so many benefits to protein. Like I was just saying, it's going to help reduce your appetite and your hunger levels. It's going to increase your muscle mass and strength. No, you won't get super bulky with 30% of your BMR, I promise. But you will be able to recover and build that lean muscle. It's good for your bones. It's going to reduce cravings, your desire for late night snacking. It's going to boost your metabolism and increase that fat burning. It's going to lower your blood pressure, help maintain your weight loss, and it doesn't have any harmful effects on your kidneys as long as they're healthy. Now, if you've had a doctor tell you that, you need to lower your protein because of kidney reasons, then you maybe want to reach out to us specifically. But if we're talking generally, protein is such a good thing. In fact, I have had clients stick with me for over a year, not tracking macros, just working on their consistency with their calories and their protein, and they have seen insanely good results. So if you just focus on those things, which we do suggest, at least through the calibration and the transformation phase, then you'll be just fine. I'm serious. Your fats and your carbs will fall in line. You really honestly don't need to worry about those numbers, okay? Because again, if you're just worried about your fats and your carbs, but your protein's low, then things are not going to work and it's not going to make sense. So number 1, consistency. Number 2, calories. Number 3, protein. You can stop right there. You can stop my video and just go do that right now. Okay. The last one is, of course, your fats and your carbs. Like I said, I don't even use fats and carbs. I don't look at them. I don't care about them myself. I don't care about them with my clients unless we start to hit some plateaus. We're not sure what's going on. Then I can start to give them their fats and carbs numbers and see if by adjusting them, it can make a difference. Sometimes people perform better, feel better, have better mood with higher fats. Some people really need the carbs in order to sustain their workouts and things like that. But none of that matters if you're not getting the right amount of calories and the right amount of protein in, okay? So that's an overview. Now, like I said, as you're going through this in the calibration and transformation, you can just do calories and protein. Here's what I suggest aiming for as you go throughout your program, okay? So remember, my BMR was 1463. So I am going to give myself a leeway of 100 to 200 calories on both ends, depending on how hungry or not hungry I am, okay? So 14, that means I can eat as little as 1,200 calories and as much as 1,600 calories. And if I get within that range somewhere, then I'm happy and I'm good to go. Okay, I'm not going to be hard on myself. That's another common thing that I see when people start tracking macros. They're given these 3 numbers. They want to hit them perfectly. It's very hard to do so, and they become discouraged. They're like, oh, I can't do this. I don't know what's wrong, right? So if you give yourself a range, you're going to set yourself up for success. So for me, between 1,200 and 1,600 calories, boom, I'm good to go. Calorie range, you're going to give yourself a calorie range as well. So I believe my protein was 125. So that means I can eat as little as 105 and as much as 145 protein per day, okay? Protein is typically the hardest macronutrient to get because there's just limited resources of it, right? Meats, eggs, protein shakes, very limited, right? And so if I give myself that range, then I'll set myself up for success. So find that range for you, depending on what your BMR is, what your protein number is. Give yourself that range, and then try to consistently track and be accurate with it at least 5 out of 7 days during the week, okay? If you are not consistent and not accurate at least 5 out of 7 days, then it's not smart to start adjusting your macros because the results you're getting are probably not accurate. So you want to make sure you've tracked at least 5 days out of the week and that you've hit your protein range and your calorie range at least 5 out of 7 days of the week before adjusting. All right, hope that makes sense. Give yourself a range and keep in mind that consistency, accuracy, hitting your calories and your protein is always number 1.